All right, so do we know that scene in Friends with Benefits with Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis? Don't get that, please. Please do not get that confused with No Strings Attached, because they are two completely separate movies, just with the same plot. But do we know that scene from Friends with Benefits where they're talking about the cliches of romance movies or romantic comedy movies and how they try to trick you into thinking you have a good time by playing a very classic and catchy song at the end to, like I said, to trick you into thinking you had a great time with this movie? This is a prime example of it. This is a prime example of them trying to trick me into thinking I had a wonderful time by playing a Natasha Bedingfield song that is an absolute banger. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. I will not be tricked. I will not. Even though that song is damn good. This is Anyone But You. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Anyone But You, starring Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney, Alexandra Shipp, Gata from Dave, which his actual name is Gata, and I didn't know that until the end credits of this movie, so thank you for educating me on that. And it was directed by Will Gluck, which is a funny ass last name. But look, our story follows two individuals who meet, they have a fantastic night together, and end up catching feelings until something happens to them where they end up hating each other's guts. And basically what follows is Glenn Powell's best friend is getting married to Sydney Sweeney's sister, and they basically have to go to this destination wedding, and because this girl that Glenn Powell used to be with is there, and this guy that Sydney Sweeney's parents want her to hook up with, or not hook up with, but marry, is also there, they decide to fake like each other, and for the sake of the wedding, not only pretend they're a couple, but to win and not win their past lovers in different ways. I'm sorry if that doesn't really make any sense. I'm gonna be real with you. The plot never made sense to me in the first place. This is kind of, I'm not gonna say this is like an unavoidable situation, because I mean, maybe something like this randomly, like a 0.1% chance of something like this can actually happen. I mean, it's a movie, yes, so I mean, I guess like the scenarios aren't supposed to be the most realistic thing in the world, but this plot never made sense to me at all, so I'm sorry if that was a very confusing plot for you. When I was watching this thing unfold, it was still kind of confusing to me. I'm like, so y'all sat down in a room and thought, yeah, this is it. This is the plot we can run with. This is just something that'll make people go goo goo and gaga over these two. We just make them hate each other and pretend to, we make them actually hate each other and pretend to like each other and pretend to be a couple for a movie, and then cliche-ly just fall in love some way, somehow. Okay. Alright, sure. Alright, so as far as what I liked about the movie, it was only Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell was the only thing from making this movie a complete atrocity. I'm going to be so serious with you. Glenn Powell is not only, I mean, yes, he's very talented in my opinion, and I think that he alone is the only really funny person in the film. And that really sucks, because Gata from Dave, I'm going to keep referring to him from Gata. I'm going to keep referring to him as Gata from Dave because that's where I know him from. But Gata is a hilarious person. Like, just him by himself should have made this movie a lot funnier than what it was. And the script is terrible. The script in this movie is horrible. It's not funny at all. The only person whose charisma and actual charm is making you laugh throughout the film is Glenn Powell, and that's just him being Glenn Powell. Like, if you've ever seen Scream Queens, you understand this dude definitely has comedic chops. This dude is hilarious, and Glenn Powell is the saving grace of this movie for me. Without him, this movie would have been an absolute atrocity. And look, that's not to say Sydney Sweeney didn't do a good job. I'm sorry, well, the movie was written very poorly. So, like, it's hard for anybody to really do anything with this kind of material because it's really not helping anyone. And My problem with Sydney Sweeney is just the fact that she's not really that funny. Like, yes, she did a great job in Euphoria as, you know, Jacob Elordi's toxic new girlfriend and their toxic relationship and stuff like that. Sydney Sweeney did a great job at capturing that, but I think she's better just in those roles. Like, this is supposed to be a romantic comedy. This movie for me was really missing the comedy aspect and only hit on certain points of the romantic aspect. Like, Sydney Sweeney to me just really is not funny whatsoever, and it's like, I don't know if her dialogue was trying to like help her in any sort of way, but like she really missed the mark on a lot of comedic jokes. And look, just gonna address the elephant in the room. Sydney Sweeney is insanely hot. She is insanely attractive, and honestly, so is a majority of this cast. I think the entire cast is full of just good-looking people, and they all just decided to put a bunch of good-looking people in a room and say, let's make a movie together. The problem is, they're missing chemistry, they're missing an actual plot that makes sense, they're missing the comedic aspects of this cast, they are missing just any sort of entertaining portions of these people's personalities to make you actually attach yourself emotionally to what's going on in the film. Like I said, not only is the plot like really stupid to me, but it's just like watching this whole scenario play out. It's just kind of like, this really could have been done in a different way. You know what's crazy is, even though the reason that these two end up not liking each other in the first place, which, I mean, I'm not going to spoil, of course, because, you know, I don't want to do spoilers. The way that these two end up not liking each other in the first place is kind of just like, I guess that can happen. Sure. I mean, that's literally what you're saying throughout a lot of this movie. I guess that could happen. Sure. Why not? We're here. Let's just go with it. That's literally how you feel a majority of this movie. Like, Glenn Powell really had to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, Gator made me laugh at some points, but like I said, that's mainly due to his personality himself. He's a funny dude by himself, but the written material in this movie is a mess. The written material did not help these people whatsoever try to be funny at all. They just put a bunch of good-looking people, like I said, in a film, and they made a movie. And that's how you get movies like this. Like I said, that Natasha Bedingfield song, Bedingfield, I think her name is Bedingfield. That Natasha Bedingfield song is not going to trick me into thinking I had a good time in this movie. Although every time that song came on in the movie, I was dancing my ass off, literally cheering. I was hoping that, I mean, honestly, if it was a crowd of people in there, I'm pretty sure a lot of us would have been too. But I was the only one in the theater because probably shouldn't be interested in this movie whatsoever. Now, look, I love rom-coms, and I'm gonna be really real with you. Rom-coms are not only one of my guilty pleasures, but they're also my favorite genre of movie, if that can be the same thing, only because I'm very biased towards rom-coms. I'm a hopeless romantic, and it really does not take much for me to be entertained by a rom-com. But when you have a movie like this and Your Place or Mine, but this movie is not even as nearly as bad as Your Place or Mine, but it's not that good either. But when you just have a movie like this where the chemistry is really lacking between the two, or it's just like I don't feel it throughout, it's just kind of obvious where all the other faults lie in the film. It's kind of like, okay, well, if these two aren't really working a lot throughout the film, then okay, I guess I'm going to pay attention to the comedy aspect, and then the comedy aspect's not there. Okay, I'm going to pay attention to anything else this movie can probably deliver me. Doesn't have anything else to deliver you. It's very bland. It's a very stale tasting movie. Just gives you a very vanilla, bland taste of nothingness, with a lot of good-looking people in this movie. There's a lot of good-looking people in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, very good-looking people. Everybody worked out for no reason. That's what this is. But look, overall, guys, Anyone But You was a movie that kind of just fell flat, and a lot of the important parts that a romantic comedy needs to be held up in, but Glenn Powell did his absolute best. I love Glenn Powell in this film. I think Glenn Powell is going to be a superstar in this industry, not because of this movie whatsoever, but I do believe that the fact that, impressively, since he was able to carry a majority of this movie and backpack it by himself, I think that was impressive nonetheless, but I think he was going to be a star before that. But I love Glenn Powell. Sydney Sweeney, you got some work to do, and I don't think Madam Web is going to help you whatsoever. So after that movie, let's get you in the right direction and just start doing more dramatic girlfriend toxic roles. Although you may not want to be typecasted, but we got to work on your comedic chops then, because this No, not at all. Not at all. But for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give Anyone But You a 2 out of 5 stars. Alright, guys, so Anyone But You, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. Look, guys, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.